This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 189, recorded on October 16th, 2014. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all your favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in a very sunny and very beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. We just had great weather over the last couple weeks. Winter's on its way, though. Snow will be here before we know it. And, of course, we post the show with world-class show notes each week out at the AverageGuy.tv. If you have questions, comments, or contributions, you can contact the show. Send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. You can find me on Twitter, and many of you are on the @jcollison account out there. Now you can call in those questions, and actually we'll play a question from Kyle at the end of the program, so hang tight for that, Kyle. Thanks for calling in on that. You can call those in 402-478-8450, and you can do that for free on Skype if you're international. So I've had a lot of folks say, I can't call in. It's a U.S. number. If you do it on Skype, you can call it in, and 402-478-8450, and we'll play that right here on the show. And now Home Gadget Geeks is a part of the Geeks Network. Find links to this show and many other great podcasts out at the geeksnetwork.com. You can join us in chat, watch or listen live on YouTube and on Spreaker, and find all the navigation that you'll need, including brand new subscription links. So if you haven't subscribed yet, theaverageguy.tv/subscribe will get you there as well. All right, we have a good show for you tonight. We've been working on this one for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and pretty excited about it. Before we get to our guest, let me introduce. He kind of dropped off the show, but we've had him on more than less recently, but it's good to have him back. Christian Johnson. Christian, how are you?
Hey, good to be here. I guess we went from co-host to know nothing, guest to kind of like a semi-quasi, and back in the loop. But
co-host to no host, and then back again.
Well, these are the pains and burdens associated with co-hosting your own show, right? But
that's right.
Things are going well. The Maryland weather has finally given us probably its last day of warm weather. We're getting ready to head down into the 50s next week. We had a just wall of rain that hit the whole eastern seaboard, so that was pretty fun. Navigating through classes, you always know who actually looks at the weather forecast on a college campus, because the people who don't are just completely drenched, or the people who choose to bike and just not care, like myself, are completely drenched. So that's always an enjoyable time. But ready to rock and roll, and ready to talk about actually probably one of my favorite apps out on the web that I've been using for several years that is rocking in comparison to some of the other stuff I'm seeing. So I'm looking forward to talking about it.
No, very cool. And so let's just get right into it. Umut, I contacted him 8 weeks ago, and we've been using UpTimeRobot for a lot. I mean, at least a year for me, maybe 2 for Christian. And one day I was like, why don't we just invite him on the show? So I sent him a tweet and said, hey, do you do guest appearances? And he said yes to the interview. So Umut, thanks for coming in, and welcome to Home Gadget Geeks.
Thanks very much for having UpTimeRobot here. Really excited with the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. And tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from. Pronounce your last name for me, because there's no way I just slaughter it. So pronounce that for me.
Sure.
Tell us where you're from, those kinds of things. Give us the vitals.
Okay, it is Umut. It's Muhaddisoglu. It's actually a difficult surname even in Turkish, I can say. I am located in Istanbul, Turkey, and I am running UpTimeRobot with a close friend of mine, Daniel, who is not here right now. And that's in short. I am a developer who is a self-learner, I can say. I studied banking and finance, and programming was just a hobby, and it all started almost 15 years ago. And events took me to UpTimeRobot, developing UpTimeRobot, I can say.
Well, we want to say thanks for getting up super early. We did this a couple weeks ago with a guest that we had from Belgium, and it's 4 in the morning for you, so I appreciate you waking up early for us. We're going to get this interview done, and you go back to bed and get some rest. But we appreciate you doing that. Give us a little bit of the history of UpTimeRobot.
Sure.
It's been around a while. We've been using it for a couple years at least. But
Yeah.
tell us, what was the genesis for it? How did it get started? Those kinds of things.
Okay. It was actually I was living in Washington D.C. In 2008. It was, and I was actually developing another project, and monitoring uptime of the websites was just a part of that project. And I said to myself, I managed to create an uptime monitoring system, and why not make this something its own? And I will then focus on the other project. And fo when I started with UpTimeRobot, actually the other project just abandoned because UpTimeRobot grew so much and fast, and it actually demanded lots of workforce. So, and we really enjoyed working on UpTimeRobot. So we focused on the project, and we are developing it since 5 years. And for the last, I can say, for the last 1 year, we are working on it full time. So this is just a small history of the project.
And tell us, for someone who's listening who maybe not know, we know what it is, and we've pimped it as a community, so a lot of the listeners know what it is. But what's your 2-minute elevator speech that you give to somebody when they say, "So, what are you building?"
Yeah, I mean, it's every website can go down, and it's very normal. And UpTimeRobot just lets you know whether it's down or not, and when it was down, and when it's up, back up. So that's just the core of UpTimeRobot. But when it comes to some other features, I mean, for example, there is response time monitoring, which also allows you to see whether the website is working as fast as you expect, because it's also equal to downtime. I can say if a website is working slow, there's almost no difference than it's not working for many. So in short, it checks whether a website is up or down and notifies you about these events.
Now, that sounds simple, right? I mean, but it's a little more complex than that, right? I mean, so
That's true.
typically you would have to install some software on the server side, and it would have to communicate back to the server that you were using. And I haven't installed. I'm showing. So if you're listening to the audio, you might want to head over to our YouTube page and watch the video for this, because we're going to do a lot of demo work today as we preview this. But I am monitoring 4 sites, 3 of my own, which are over on Christian's servers. He actually is a host provider for me, and so Christian hosts 3 of those: the Chia, the Radio Higher Ed, and the AverageGuy.tv, the site this is on right now, all hosted at Christian. We track those, and then I track an Azure server as well. And I haven't put a lick of code, right? I mean, it's completely codeless from my standpoint, right? All I have to do is select a monitor, a site, and I can monitor it, right? How do you do that?
That's true. That's actually the ease of the system. I mean, UpTimeRobot works almost like a browser, and it works like any visitor that browsing a website, but it just sends these requests automatically. And so you simply define a website, and in the backend we have a monitoring engine which runs on multiple servers, and it sends requests just like a visitor, and sees the response returned from the website, and detects whether the website is working or has problems or not working at all, and notifies the contacts that you had defined. It can be SMS, email, and there are some other contact options as well. So it works pretty automated for everyone.
Yeah, no, very easy to use. I mean, we are the AverageGuy.tv, and Mike, we try to make podcasts, that finds easy stuff for the average guy. This is maybe one of the easiest server monitoring tools I've ever seen. And so I have the new monitor. I clicked on a new monitor just to show folks what's available. And the last time we demoed this, I did have a few questions. So I'm gonna roll through it. I'm gonna ask you those. But there are monitor types, right? And of course, when I select monitor types, we see HTTP and HTTPS. That makes sense. But
Yeah.
what is keyword ping and port? What does that get me if I want to monitor those, and why would I want to use those?
Okay. I will take some time. I will take some time to explain this. Okay, HTTP is for monitoring websites. It just sends the request just like any visitor. For keywords, it checks whether a keyword exists, a keyword that you define exists or does not exist in a website, actually in a web page. So there are many uses for that, but let me give you an example of a testimonial that we had received from a user. Actually, a user of us had told that he had managed to record his daughter to a swimming class with the help of a keyword monitor, and we asked how did this happen. There was some limited space in the swimming lesson, and he was monitoring the swimming lessons webpage whether to see if the keyword available existed on that web page, and when there was some free spots available on that class, he is instantly notified and managed to get her daughter to that class. So this is just a simple example actually, but for designers, developers, or for any other web guy, I mean, they can check whether, for example, a specific keyword exists, like this can be a database problem, and he can search for the keyword database problem, for example, or connection problem, and if the website is giving this error, or I mean, it can be a 404 error, and such almost any type of text can be easily monitored using the keyword monitor.
And let me ask, so on the monitoring, by default, it's every 5 minutes
That's true.
for the standard version that you have, right? I can set up 50 of these monitors for free, no charge to do that, and it will poll every 5 minutes. Are there quicker polling options available to me if I wanted it to be every minute or every 30 seconds?
Well, we actually almost plan to introduce a premium plan just to do that. When we launched UpTimeRobot, we never thought that this would be this would have a premium option. Actually, we wanted to do this completely free, and we wanted to help the community have such a nice tool, and also we would love to learn from creating such a service, and we learned a lot. And however, I mean, in order to actually finance the development of the service, because we have right now lots of servers, and we dedicate lots of time to the service. We plan to introduce a premium plan that will just allow users to check 1 minute within 1 minute intervals, and this will have no effect in the free plan. We just plan to keep the free plan as is, and also keep adding features to the free plan, but we will just offer some more with the premium plan.
So let me ask you, what was it that made you think that? I guess when I first was really interested in having some real-time monitoring of some kind, because we were switching web providers and I was starting to move stuff to my own thing, and I wanted to watch my own infrastructure. And one of the things that was popular in this community before I converted them to being UpTimeRobot believers was Pingdom. And Pingdom really has become mostly a completely paid for service, and it really, in my opinion, does a lot of the same things that the UpTimeRobot service does for free, and does so in the same level of capability and functionality. And I was just wondering if you could comment at all about, you know, were you aware of competitors like Pingdom, and what types of, did that influence at all how you kind of crafted UpTimeRobot to be in this space?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Pingdom is definitely a very solid service which has some advanced features besides what UpTimeRobot offers. But at its core, I agree with you. UpTimeRobot and Pingdom has very similar features for the majority of the users. And while creating UpTimeRobot, I mean, we never thought Pingdom is missing this feature or another monitoring service is missing this feature and we should create it for this reason. But rather, we wanted to create something simple because probably you experienced it with many uptime monitoring services. Things get complicated within time because I mean there are lots of options that users can need, and providing all these options at the end makes the service not useless but complicated for the majority of the users, I can say.
Sure.
We wanted UpTimeRobot to be simple at its core, and we really focus on keeping the usability and actually the features as simple as it can be, and it's actually this is the most effort that takes for us to developing UpTimeRobot, actually keeping it simple while trying to add features to it. So I mean it is true to say UpTimeRobot is a Pingdom competitor, but on the other hand, we don't we try not to think so, because I mean I think they have the same user base at a level, but also many advanced users can choose Pingdom or some other monitoring services, but we want to get the daily user, or I can say for maybe any experienced user who has the basic needs for monitoring websites, servers, and services.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Christian, can we address this? So Ken has a question, right? So if it's pinging my server, and let me see if I get this right. If it's pinging my server, then and I'm watching for, and I have Google Analytics set on my server, watching for visits.
Yeah.
Umut, is it showing up as a user, and would I not, if it was pinging it every 5 minutes, would that not throw off my stats?
Okay. If it's a HTTP monitor, it's not recorded by Google Analytics because UpTimeRobot sends head requests. It's just like a request that actually asks for a very basic information response from the server, and it simply doesn't download the Google Analytics code, and it's not recorded. However, if it's a keyword monitor, yes, it will be tracked by Google Analytics because it needs to download all the web page to see whether the keyword exists or not. But Google Analytics has a filtering option for excluding IPs or services from being recorded, and so this can be excluded easily. For ping and ports, I mean, this doesn't even go to Google Analytics, so it's not recorded at all.
Okay, that's a great answer. So that, I think that that meets the need. I think, Christian, is that what Ken's talking about?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay, very cool. Well, Umut, you talked about ping and port, and those are two we didn't cover. Let me pop that back open. And so when I look at, so we talked about keyword, and there's some powerful stuff in keyword. By the way, I'm glad you brought up those examples because I never would have thought of using it to wait for a site to put available up, right? If you're waiting for something, or the lack of something, right? If an event was canceled, or maybe it had a status of not open yet, and you could track it to say when that not open disappears, right? And when it disappears, it'll alert you as well. So that's pretty cool. But talk about ping.
Definitely, that's true.
What does ping and port do for me?
Okay, ping is actually a perfect monitor type for checking whether a server is working or not. Technically it sends ICMP requests, which is also known as ping requests, and it simply tries to detect whether an IP is responding or not, and I mean it's really perfect for monitoring servers and not websites, I can tell.
So actually, you would put a physical IP address in here.
Yes, that's true.
Yep,
that's true.
And then so that covers that. And then if I wanted to do port,
Yeah.
We'll choose that. What does that get me?
Okay. Many services actually work behind the port under an IP. For example, let me give an example like this. For example, any website is working behind the port 80. If it's a SSL website, this is 443. And for example, if it's MySQL, it has a specific port. If it's a DNS service, it's another specific port. So port monitors are actually very good fits for checking whether a service like database, DNS, web, SMTP, IMAP, any specific service with a specific port is working or not. Because I mean, you can check whether a server is working or not with ping monitoring, but you will never know whether the service on that server is working as expected or not. So, port is a good fit for checking the services.
Okay, very cool. I think that's a great explanation. Ken had also asked a question that Christian answered. He said, "How do we know what the IP address is of UpTimeRobot keyword checker?" And that's available at uptimerobot.com/FAQ. The addresses are there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, very cool. All right, let's talk a little. Christian, anything else on that before we move on?
No, I think that's pretty thorough.
Sure, you bet. So really, at this point, I mean, that's the major setup piece, right, of UpTimeRobot. You get through that, and then the rest of it is just stats, right? Is there anything else I should be configuring or other things that I want to know about other than the stats that I get back from the service?
Actually, you are right. I mean, the biggest feature is knowing whether any website, server, or service is working or not. And when you want to go into details, UpTimeRobot shows how fast they are responding to the requests. And that's actually the main functionality of UpTimeRobot. I mean, you can check your uptime ratios, which is actually very important in order to check whether a service that you are using is working as advertised or not. So rather than that, UpTimeRobot has the options has multiple options for getting notified of downtime and uptime. Is it okay that I summarize these contact options a little?
Absolutely. Go ahead. You bet.
Okay. I mean, the most standard one is email, and it's actually the most detailed one to get information about, and we are planning to expand information provided in these emails, like much more, including much more reasons regarding the downtime, so that a user can help fix the issue much faster. After that, we have SMS notifications, which are actually totally free but it works only for some providers. We are planning to add an Pro SMS gateway that will support all providers in the short time. Besides that, we are integrated into multiple Android and iOS applications for getting push notifications, and lately we have integrated Slack and HipChat, which are popular programs, services for team communication. So anyone using these services can get notified as well.
So I noticed in your blog post recently that you had added HipChat, and was it HipChat and Slack that's been recently added?
Yes, that's true.
And so tell me, so right, those are kind of team instant messaging applications, which are getting kind of popular again, of having this IM. You know, we've come full circle, right? We started with IM, and it went all video, and now we're back to IM again, which is kind of crazy. But how does that benefit me to monitor my? Is it strictly monitoring the uptime of those services, or are there other options there as well?
Regarding the HipChat and Slack integration, right?
Yes, correct.
it is, I mean, these services are really very good fits for team communication. I mean, they are actual chat rooms that we get used to, but I mean, they keep the history and provide some other features, integrate into many other services that will make team communication really easy. And UpTimeRobot's integration is actually sending a message to the chat room that you define in these services. For example, if we three are working on a web project, and it's really handy to know that this web project is working or not, or if it ever went down or not, inside the same collaboration platform. So HipChat and Slack users don't need to leave the chat room, and they can know whether the project they are working on is up or not anytime, just in the chat room.
All right, and talk a little bit about when we talk about push over and push bullet. I have never heard of those two before. So what do those do for us?
Okay, and there's Boxcar besides that, I can say.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, these three are Android and iOS applications, and they some of them also has Firefox and Chrome extensions. They are really exciting services, I can say. I mean, you can download them, and they allow you to get notifications from many other services that integrate into them. So right now we don't have any native applications for UpTimeRobot. Actually, users have created various iOS and Android applications for UpTimeRobot, but there's no official one. So, and the biggest feature for using an mobile application is actually getting push notifications for a monitoring system. And for a faster integration, we decided to choose with such services, and we simply use these services to send push notifications to users. And I can say that any web user, any mobile user should check such programs, because they also allow you to get notifications. I mean, they allow you to get custom notifications from not only services but any events. Like, I mean, you can get an email and forward it to their notification email, and you will get it as a push notification. Just a simple example, but I mean, this can be expanded.
Yeah, no,
Sure.
very cool.
Yeah, and the API looks pretty extensive too. I mean, I'm just looking at the list of unofficial API resources, and it looks like there's at least 20 or so, and everything from PHP to jQuery to Drupal is all covered. So,
That's true.
yeah, there's a lot of integration points, and that's it's got to actually be pretty quick to put together. You know, if someone is a sysadmin and they want to script something together really quick that lets them integrate that in some kind of other application or dashboard that they're putting out, that's a pretty nice capability to have ready to go.
Yeah, you are right, definitely. I mean, we really get excited seeing users integrate with the API and creating, deleting, editing monitors via the API.
Yeah, very cool.
Go ahead, Christian.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I would imagine that building the API would probably be one of the one of the highlights of building UpTimeRobot. Did you like it a lot? Was it a lot of grunt work? I mean, to me, something like this would be a lot of fun to try and put together.
Well, it was actually just the same for us, because it was the first time that we created an API, and I mean, actually we were thinking that it was something, I mean, creating an API should be something difficult, but I mean, actually it's definitely not. It's just getting some requests and returning responses, but
Right.
making it easy to use is actually the difficult part. We try to make it as simple as possible, but we still have lots of I mean, tasks to make it much simpler, I can say.
But I mean, you guys have all the fundamental aspects of what you would want in an API. I mean, you're offering the XML, the JSON capability. You have the authentication API keys there, and you have a really nice and easy to follow specification document for how to send and receive data. So I mean, that's really great.
That's true. I mean, anyone using the API can do almost everything that can be done through the dashboard, and every data can be pulled from the system. And it's actually perfect for systems that has. There are some services that integrate into UpTimeRobot and who has thousands of monitors actually using.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's perfect for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Umut, let me ask you, let's go back a little bit when we talked about, and Ken's asking a question in chat around this, and it's kind of interesting. We know down, right? And this was when I was in the enterprise and we were always measuring downtime and degradation. Down is
Yeah.
simple, right? You can't get to it. How do you guys define, yeah, but the hard part, and we spent a year one time as an enterprise group defining degraded, like what does that mean? So if my website is struggling and is slow, right? So say Christian, Christian's not doing his job, and the sites are just slow. Come on, I had to pick on you a little bit.
Yeah, I guess so.
But let's just say, for example, how do I know, or how are you guys measuring a degraded site to the point where it's not returning? You know, it's returning, but it's super slow.
Okay. Yeah. We actually measure the time between the request sent and the response received, and this actually defines the response time of a website. And but right now we don't have the option to send notifications based on response time values. I mean, a user right now cannot say notify me if my website is responding this slow. I mean, if it's responding within 3 seconds, for example. We will be adding this feature in the next weeks because we plan to add an. Right now, we monitor every website from a United States-based server, I can say. So, for example, if your website is located in Europe, I mean, we will be checking it from United States, and we will, for example, tell you that it loads in 1 second. But if we check it from Europe, we will tell that it loads in half a second. So we will start checking websites from multiple locations, and after that we will add response time notifications as well. Right now we only use multiple servers for verifying downtimes actually. So, and when it comes to your actually the second part of the question, yeah, I mean, we detect response time like that, and we also detect whether a website is responding okay or not with the HTTP statuses returned, which is actually 200 for a successful response, and we all know 404 for not found, which actually refers to a down website for UpTimeRobot, and there's 501, 503, lots of different HTTP statuses that UpTimeRobot acts on.
Okay, good answer. good answer from that side. It's I would also think if you measured can talk here. If you measured the response time and kept track of that, and then if it varied outside of some kind of average, I know that would require to keep data on hand, so to speak. But any thoughts to kind of saying, hey, if this server is going outside of its normal bounds, alert me?
Right now, right now we don't have this option.
Correct.
Yeah, we don't have this option. But I mean, personally, I think that any website should respond within at most half a second. I mean, this is actually a high value, I can say. But I mean, any website shouldn't pass a response time with half a second, I can say.
Okay, I like the high standards there. They should all respond, or they're just down. I like that. I like that answer. So you said they're here in the U.S. Are they all? Is it built in an infrastructure? Is it like, are you on Amazon in Amazon space then, or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, we actually use soft layer, which IBM acquired, I think, a year ago, as for our main servers for hosting the main engines, and for verification nodes, we have some nodes in Amazon and some nodes in DigitalOcean, and currently that's the whole setup, and we try to expand to other locations as possible, and whenever we find reliable providers, and yeah, that's it.
Well, so none of that stuff is free,
Yeah,
and you talked about some monetization, going forward. How are you guys funded right now? I mean, certainly I can't buy a subscription now. So how are you being funded right now?
yeah, I mean, UpTimeRobot is totally self-funded since the launch. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can ask really why did you do this, and because it had lots of costs, but I mean, we really learned so much from UpTimeRobot. I mean, I was a as an example, I was a ASP developer when UpTimeRobot started. I now code in PHP. I mean, when UpTimeRobot grew too much, I decided to learn Node.js for faster performance. And I mean, besides that, it teaches us a lot regarding scaling and other stuff. So
That's awesome. I'm not going to argue with you. If you're going to let me use it for free,
yeah, I know.
I'm happy to use it. Yeah, no, it's great. That's great. It's a great story. A lot of the guys in our community, that is giving back to the community, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're getting a learning experience out of it. You're getting some value. We get to use it at a very affordable price. I'll be honest with you. I'd pay a little bit for this service, and so if there ever becomes some monetization options, freemium, premium type stuff, I think it's for what we do. I love to support that kind of stuff that actually works, and we want to make sure you keep going. So hopefully we'll stay in touch with you as you guys. No, not hopefully. We'll stay in touch with you as things move forward. Christian, as I kind of wrap this up, any super techno stuff that you want to ask that I missed?
I mean, nothing extremely technical left. One thing I always like to do, I feel bad, I always do this to people on these types of interviews, but I always like to go to Alexa.com and type in the website for the service that we're talking about and see how they're doing. And UpTimeRobot is in the top 16,000 sites visited in the U.S. and in the last month has, averaged around 20K per day worth of traffic. So I was just wondering if you guys, well, I'm sure you've noticed it, and globally, mind you, also we're talking 13,000 in the site index globally, which is really high. So I was just wondering if you guys had to do some work to make sure that your front-end systems and servers could handle that amount of traffic, and if that traffic kind of showed up pretty quickly and you guys had to scale out fast in order to accommodate.
Yeah, I mean, actually, almost around 2 months ago, we experienced lots of requests from websites. I mean, actually, with the popularity of service and UpTimeRobot.com being in the front page of some popular other websites, and we after that we placed almost every service. I mean, website. Database, the DNS use in different servers for making it scale really easy, and we actually moved the website to a cloud server where it can expand whenever we want. So yeah, we took some actions for that, and right now it performs pretty fast.
Sure. Yeah. No, it definitely is. Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, I think we're out of questions at this point. Umut, is there anything that maybe you can give us? You've alluded to a few things that are coming up in the future. Anything else that we didn't cover, that a question we should have asked?
Actually, we covered almost all the major stuff I can say, but within the next weeks, we are planning to add some new monitor types for for checking services and actually the content of websites in a different way. Let me just keep it as is, because we want this to be like a hidden feature right now, if that's okay.
Sure.
And,
yeah, you bet.
yeah, and besides that, we are planning to add load time monitoring data into UpTimeRobot, which will show you in how many milliseconds a web page is loading, besides responding, which is pretty important data as well. And we will be adding various other alert contacts as well. And I mean, there are actually a huge to-do list, I can say, but these are the things that are coming in the next weeks. And another nice option, a feature coming, is actually, we call it maintenance window, which is this actually time period which you can add and tell UpTimeRobot that do not notify me if there's any downtime between these days and times, which is actually perfect if you know that your server has a if your server has a scheduled maintenance time at those hours, and you don't want to get notified or wake up from your bed late at night. So
yeah, wake up like we woke you up.
No, it's
well, it's interesting because I noticed using UpTimeRobot and the 3 servers that Christian hosts for me every day, 105, they recycle and are down for a moment and then come back up. And so, Christian, I assume there's some maintenance going on your end. You've got something going on where you're
Every day it does that?
Well, every day, maybe once a week. What kind of schedule is it on? You're not. Should I forward these to you?
Are we talking about 105 a.m. or p.m.?
No, 105 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's stuff rebooting for updates and whatnot, and sometimes we flush our gateway, but I normally don't like to do that more than two times a month.
So I'll start forwarding them to you. But that being said, they're very regular, right? I know they come at 105 every time they come. So whatever they are, whether they're twice a week or twice a month or whatever, they come at 105. So that would be good to write that in, right? To have that exception and say, hey, look, if I get an alert between 1 and 110 on these servers, don't worry about it. It's just maintenance.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, regarding the server of Christian, it can also be a scheduled job that's run by the hosting company, like a backup job or a regular network maintenance. I mean, this happens with many hosting providers, and it's pretty normal. And yeah, you can just choose not to get notified for them.
That's very cool. No, that's great. We're looking forward to whatever you have coming for us, and thank you again. Thanks again for coming on. If we had you back on, let's maybe say after the January, February, would you have some things to share some new stuff to share that you could bring us up to speed on?
Perfect. I will be very happy to share it with you again. Yeah.
No, awesome. No, good to have you back on every once in a while, especially with all the updates that you guys are making. Umut, thank you for taking 45 minutes out of your morning.
Definitely.
Go back to bed and get some additional rest. And great having you on. Great meeting you, and we look forward to seeing you again on the program.
It's same for me here, and thanks very much for inviting me. Really, it was great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. You bet.
Yeah.
And we are big fans of UpTimeRobot, so thanks for all that you do.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
You bet. You can go ahead and hang up there, and Christian and I are going to hang out for a few minutes and answer some more questions. So thanks for coming on.
Okay. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Have a good morning and
Thanks,
good weekend. Thanks again.
Okay, sure. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye now. All right. Let me see if I can queue up this call, Christian, while we are Umut, up in the right hand corner up there. There you go. Have a good morning. Let's see if I can queue this up here. Let's see if I play it, if you guys can hear it. Let's see. No, I need to switch something over.
Do I have to sing the waiting music on the podcast?
No, talk a little bit. Give the Christian overview of what we just saw there with UpTimeRobot.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is cool. I think this is great for actually someone like me, right, who I just, I didn't want to write my own solution to it. I wanted something from the outside that wasn't a network I had access to, that was accessing the systems that I'm monitoring just as if it were a regular user. And it really, for the amount of capability that this service has for free, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, the fact that they're offering all of this as a free service still, and that they're now, he said he's working on this full time, which I just find remarkable, because you have to have a lot of motivation and dedication to a project like that. And like I said, the API is really clean. The service just does what you want it to. It's like you said, it's really very clean, very straightforward. Any average guy, this is like a +1 for ease of use and usefulness, right? So I just think that, you look at what else is out there, and you say, for an average guy, do I want to pay $15 a month to have Pingdom do what they do, or do I want UpTimeRobot? And I was saying 2-3 years ago, hey, you guys should really look at this, and you're like, what are you talking about? And then it's clear that they're doing well for themselves. And like I said, I think people think I'm a little crazy when I say this, but I'm telling you, Alexa.com is very revealing about how you're doing as a startup or as a presence on the internet of some influence. And the fact that they're in that top index spells good news for the longevity of this project.
Yeah. No, very cool. I check mine all the time. I get those emails. Like I said, whenever something goes down, I get an email, and I kind of look at it. The ones that come in the middle of the morning, I just ignore. They don't wake me up, so I don't set them to wake me up. It's not critical. If the average guy.tv goes down in the middle of the night, I'm not waking up. I'm not going to wake you up for sure. We're just not doing that. But it is kind of nice to see a summary of what's going on. We did have some issues. Last year at this time, we were struggling with the service provider, and everybody was frustrated because things kept going down, and it was really driving you nuts. And we knew all that. I mean, we knew it kind of, one, we were getting terrible service, and two, you were getting feedback in this way that things were not staying up all the time. And so since we moved the servers to Buffalo and got them running up, it's been pretty smooth. If you're listening on Spreaker, I am going to shut off at this point to get the message going with some trickery. I need to shut off Spreaker. So I don't think we have too many Spreakers at this point, Spreaker listeners. And if you are listening and you're on a plane somewhere or something like that, come back and listen to the recorded version and subscribe to it. So we'll see you, Spreaker. Let me shut them off here real quick, and then I need to switch over the. Let's make this the default. Let's disable this. I'm just hoping it's not too loud. So let's see if I can get a volume setting turned down here, and let's see if we can get Kyle and his question. Let's see if that plays. No, not yet. Well, that's frustrating. I haven't done this in a while, so I have to admit that I see it playing, but why can't I get it into, oh, wait a minute. Wait, this is what I have to do. All right, hang tight. That is very loud. Kyle? No, not yet. Christian, tell us, we just did a Cyber Frontiers on Monday. I haven't released it yet. It'll be coming out this weekend sometime. I just got busy this weekend. Give us a quick update, not necessarily what we talked about, but give us a quick school update. We haven't caught up on you.
Sure.
You're halfway through the semester for the most part, I think, right? Have you done midterms already?
We're in the middle of them, so this is, as we would say, crunch time, or just like curl up in a ball and cry. I mean, whatever you want. For computer science students, that basically boils down to finding whatever your favorite snack is, hoarding it in massive quantities around your desk, and staying up till 2 a.m. going and looking at things, and maybe you turn your head sideways, and all of a sudden it looks very different than what it did when you were looking at it upright for 2 hours. But no, the semester's been going well. A lot of really cool, exciting things happening on campus. The ACES program is continuing to grow and make leaps and bounds in the community like you wouldn't believe. I mean, everyone in the tri-state areas, really, there's great visibility, and the ACES program has now been, it's a model on the Capitol Hill, right? So when congressmen are talking about how to promote cybersecurity education and address the shortage of cybersecurity in the workforce for government agencies. The ACES program has been coming up all the time, and so we're really starting to see that take off. We're getting ready to launch the ACES 2 program, which will be the advanced technical track for the whole 4 years. So I'll be applying for my first cybersecurity honor citation along with the rest of my fellow cohort in the spring, and that'll be one of 2 down, so that's really exciting. I've been spending a lot of my other time working on some research in cybersecurity under the Office of Naval Research is funding some of that work, and that has been very rewarding for me. It's opened up a lot of doors, and I've gotten some really cool insights into some of the technologies that I kind of repackage into stuff we talk about on Cyber Frontiers. So that's been really great. And more I find that actually the most enjoyable part of the coursework for me is research. I mean, if I could take a full 16 credit course work of just pure research all the time, I would probably do it. Again, this is what we define as graduate school, so I guess that may or may not be an indicator of where I'm headed. But I really love doing things that are kind of out there, but then drawing them back in and trying to make them be meaningful to the real world. So I like to think that somewhere there's a title of real world researcher in there, but what that actually means is probably not readily accepted in the academic community, where it's much more on the theory side. But that's all been great, and having our new freshmen here has been awesome. We're up to 112 strong, so a pretty solid group of people, and I've been continuing to work part-time for the Gallup organization, doing my research with NSF part-time over at Mid-Atlantic Crossroads, and I've had great success and opportunities in doing some of that work, and it's been a pretty good ride, and no complaints so far going into year 2.
All right. Good. It's always good to have you at Gallup, and fun to work with you there and doing some good stuff for us. So I always appreciate the work that you're doing there. It's fun to kind of just track you, through the system, and I've known you a lot of years now, and it's just kind of fun to watch that all happen and
Sure.
be a part of this community. So I'm glad you can make it on. And we joked earlier in the podcast about host, no host, host again, but I've made a shift starting last spring. I kind of made a shift with the show to kind of go after some smaller startup, Engadget and The Verge. And I mean, how much can you talk about Windows, right? I mean, I like it, I love it, but okay, and so we've had some really, really interesting. If you're new to the show and you haven't gone back, you should go back and listen to some of the back catalog. We've had some really interesting guests doing some things and focusing on some things that you're not going to hear in the mainstream. And so we've become kind of the anti-mainstream in a lot of ways, which is fun. I like that. I like to be kind of breaking the rules.
I mean, if you want my mainstream on Windows, I can give it to you in 30 seconds. There's still nothing that Microsoft has released since Windows 7 that somehow enhances my quality or productivity in what I do for a daily job. So Windows 7 Ultimate has been on my desktop since 2009. It's actually been the original. I've had that upgraded from Windows Vista and moved to my new hardware. So I've actually been on my original operating system since Vista came out, which was I think around mid 2007 when I did all that. So here I am 7 years later on the same operating system, the same configuration. If anyone ever took it away from me, I'd be totally just devastated, because I've pretty much built my own little Christian layer on top of Windows 7, and it's just like I'm going to be one of those XP guys, the diehards for Windows 7. So, what do I think of Windows 8.1? Yeah, it's really cute. It does all the same things, but you notice with 8.1, 9, which then just jumped to 10, and all that cute stuff, it's all going back towards Microsoft getting you plugged into the cloud, fixing up their leaks in Windows 8, And the technical preview, just stay far away from it. The privacy stuff on that is kind of creepy, to be honest, and it makes me uncomfortable. So if you really want to play with it, put it in a virtual box somewhere where it can just do its own thing, and then Microsoft can get as much data as they want.
Yeah.
If
or
you
load it on dedicated hardware, right? I mean,
yeah, just
that's
don't.
what I've done. Dedicated hardware that I just kind of surf on.
Yeah,
It's sitting on the kitchen table. That's when I come home from work. I open up that laptop. I catch up on a few things. Do some so we little Facebook. Those are all in private anyway. So
yeah.
Just do all that stuff. That's kind of where I've deployed it.
I mean, I honestly hope that by now people would figure out not upgrading your main workstation to a technical preview of any kind is probably not what you want to do with
Not the smartest thing in the world. No, no.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Christian, let me stop you there. We are going to talk. I've got Rich Hay coming from Windows Observer next week. John Zadler will be back in. He joined us on Home Server Show. We're going to talk about that technical preview. So that's a good. If you're interested in that, we're going to talk through it and give some updates. Christian, I agree with you that there's really nothing new under the sun. Some tweaks, some this and that, but and I think Windows 10 will help the enterprise move on from Windows 7. It'll have to at some point, but and the enterprise wants to upgrade, right? They don't want to stay on the same operating system forever. So it will be one of those things. So next Thursday, if you're listening to this is October 16th, and so next Thursday, October 23rd, 2014, Rich Hay from Windows Observer and John Zadler will be joining me here, and we'll get hardcore Windows. We haven't done that in a while, and honestly, I need a show like that about 2 or 3 times a year so I can keep my Windows MVP status updated and make sure that works.
And when you let Johnny Z loose on Windows, man, you gotta reel him back in.
The dude pulls out a Dremel. All right, I think I got this, so let's give it a try. Here we go. This is Kyle leaving a message for me. 402-478-8450. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, fail again. I don't know what I've done wrong. This used to work. I don't know why.
See, so what Jim's really trying to say is that if you call in more often, he'll have this ready to go because he'll have practiced enough times that it'll just be.
I think I was supposed to plug a cable in.
Oh, well, that might help. Yeah, you got to plug it in.
Let me see. All right, hold on. I'm getting an echo now, but that's me. All right, let's try it. Oh, there he is. Did you guys hear that?
I don't hear it, but
all right, hold on. Did you hear that?
Nope.
Nah, shoot. Okay.
Shame. I mean, I can always play back on my loudspeakers.
I could hear the same thing. Phone fail. Kyle, we will get your message next week as we go. I do want to encourage folks to call in. He's really the one that does it a lot. 402-478-8450. If you want to call questions into the show, we try to get to those to you. His question was basically this, I think. You're on your phone and you're trying to watch Home Gadget Geeks, and that's all you've got, right? That's all you got is your phone. How do you do that, right? And so the easiest way to do that is go in and go to the browser. And if you want to do it on YouTube, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can watch it on YouTube, so get the YouTube started, and then flip over to the browser and use Chatwing. Or you can listen to it on Spreaker if you have a Spreaker app. I don't know if Windows Phone has a Spreaker app or not. Android and iPhone both do. Start the Spreaker app, and then go back to the browser and go to the Chatwing. It's easiest to go to chatwing.com/theaverageguy. I think that's the best way to go to Chatwing. And then you can have chat on there and be listening to it. So you can listen to it, then chat, and get both in one. Now, the best way to do it is to view it on YouTube in one, and then pick up your second device here and log into the chat room with this, and then you can watch it and chat. That's why everybody needs to have 2 devices. So, Kyle, I'm not sure if that was your question or not, but that's how you get that done. So it does work. I've done it several times, and it's a good way to listen to the show. I've actually done that on the road, pulled over and got Spreaker going, listened to a podcast. I did it for a Gallup podcast. We use Spreaker. Got that done. All right. Well, sorry I couldn't get that going. I think we've got some fun stuff coming up over the next couple weeks. You're going to want to stay tuned. Again, we're doing some different stuff here. This is not your typical tech podcast show anymore. We got a lot of different stuff going on. I mentioned Rich Hay, Dave McCabe coming up. We got a special guest I got a special guest coming up on the 30th, and that'll actually be the last podcast that I do. Chris Polan is coming on. Chris, a new podcaster. He does a podcast called Dadrenalin that's really designed for a busy family, for the guys who have busy families. So maybe that's a Dave McCabe. But Chris will come on. He's a good guy. He leans towards the Mac side, and that's okay. I'll forgive him for that. But Chris is going to come on. That's a Halloween night. We're leaving for Summit the next day, so I'll be out. That Thursday will be off when we're at the MVP Summit in Redmond, Washington, on the Microsoft campus. John Greenaway is coming back. So if you remember John, he's there, and a good guy out of the Bay Area. And so John Greenaway and Mike Uyghur. Mike's a podcaster, tech podcaster here in Omaha. He helped me start the Omaha Podcasters group here in town. He'll be on. Ryan Parker is coming back the week before Thanksgiving to talk about food and turkey tech. How do you like that? Turkey tech. Everything you need to do to cook your turkey. Coming up, that'll be fun. Ryan was on here a couple months ago and then talked about immersion cooking of your food, which I thought was very, very cool. Something, again, you're not going to get on any of the tech podcasts, so that was kind of cool. And then we have some folks coming back. I've got Mike Howard coming back on the 4th, and Ashton is actually going to join me. So Ashton, if you've seen Ashton on Cyber Frontiers, Ashton's coming back because he's a runner. And so we're going to bring him back on a fitness episode. You guys said you wanted fitness tech about once a quarter. So Ashton's going to come back. We'll probably get one more guest, and we're going to talk about all the fitness gear that's out for Christmas time. So it'll be a fun fitness tech gear. And then that's it. I don't have anything else scheduled. So that's it. The podcast is over. December 18th, Christian, I'm done.
Are we singing the outtake together then?
Yes. No.
All right.
No.
All right.
Oh, that's right. I need to pull that out.
Yeah.
We sang that, and I forgot to pull that out, didn't we?
That was on the Monday recording, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, was it? Did we do it Monday?
I know there was one outtake from Monday we got to grab. But we also did one on here I think a couple weeks ago. So
yeah, I'll have to go pull those. We also had Addy Saucedo last Thursday, and I got a home tech tip that I got to get out this weekend too. So if you've been missing those home tech tips, they are coming.
Tech tips.
Home tech tips. Say that 5 times fast. I'll remind you, if you're a regular listener to the show, we'd love to have you join the Tech Scholarship Fund. Actually had a big discussion today on Facebook on a podcasters group about this Amazon affiliate link, and man, there's a lot of misinformation about that that's out there. But for you guys, visit theaverageguy.tv/Amazon. Use that. That money goes into a fund. And by the way, I got money. If you want to buy something and test it, write about it or come on the show and talk about it. That's all it takes. We're doing that. We gave Ashton the scholarship of a mic and a boom arm, and so he's able to podcast large with us on Cyber Frontier. So that's what that does. I try to give that money away or replace equipment here to make the podcast better. And if you use the averageguy.tv/Amazon, and now the new averageguy.tv/Amazon CA, only in Canada, right? You can't use that in the U.S. Only in Canada. Or theaverageguy.tv/Amazon CA for Canada. All the proceeds go to John Zadler so he can hack on equipment. And if you know Zadler, if you know what's going on around here, Zadler is a hacker. And so if you're in Canada and you want to support a local Canadian doing some cool tech stuff, theaverageguy.tv/Amazon. And if you haven't signed up for the newsletter yet, go out and do that. About 40 of you have done that so far, and I get a couple every single week. I send you a newsletter once a month with all the links in it. Kind of what you need to know what's going on here in the community. If there's anything I need to communicate with you about and you're not on social media, that'd be the way to get it in the newsletter. And let's see, anything else, Christian? Anything I'm missing?
No, it sounds like a wrap.
All right, we'll call it a wrap for this Thursday night. Don't forget, we are live every Thursday night. It's every other Monday night for Cyber Frontiers.
He looked at me, and then he put the Cyber Frontiers ending in. See how that happened?
That's right. Every other week, we've got a solid schedule now. Every other Monday night for Cyber Frontier. So, and you can watch the schedule out at theaverageguy.tv. I've got a little widget in there that'll tell you when things are coming up. And then every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out at theaverageguy.tv. /live.
And I'm gonna insert my Twitter pitch because now we all know it's on. If you haven't followed me out at the WizBM yet, I don't know what you're doing because we're coming up on the big 1,000 and we're just well on our way to tweeting about great things. And I tweet a bit of different content trajectory than what the community around this podcast is normally into, but I do get relatively geek humor, so if you're into any of that Friday I post something quality that I find humorous. But if there's any small tidbit of content that you're interested in, it's worth a follow. I'll try to make it entertaining for you.
AdWizBM,
Yep.
which stands for Bias Mods.
That's expired, damn it.
And Christian's on a tear. He has grown that Twitter account, so he's trying to catch me. He's still got a ways to go, but he's trying to catch me. Thanks to all. Hang around. If you're out there listening live, hang around. Again, you don't get the post show unless you stay around for the live show. And Christian and I will make fun of each other when we get into the post show. So thanks for coming out. Good night, everybody.
Good night.